I, your humble narrator, shall regale you with a tale most extraordinary, a tale of courage, of friendship, and of a dragon whose scales shimmered like 1,000 emeralds. Gather round, my dear listeners, for the Legend of Frederick continues. Our story begins as our heroes descend from the northern peaks, their hearts filled with hope and trepidation. They had faced trials in the mountains, challenges that tested their resolve, but the journey ahead promised even greater perils. Ah, yes, the air crackles with anticipation as we embark on this perilous journey together, a journey that will lead us through sun-drenched skies and into the heart of a looming darkness. The fate of Camelot, and perhaps the world, hangs in the balance. Frederick, that magnificent beast of legend, carried our intrepid band through the skies with grace unmatched. His emerald scales glinted in the sunlight, catching the rays and scattering them like 1,000 tiny jewels as they swept across vast expanses of cloud and sky. The wind whistled past their ears, a constant reminder of the speed and power of their magnificent steed. One might say the very heavens trembled at his passing, such was the majesty of his flight. Arthur, clinging to the hastily fashioned saddle betwixt Frederick's mighty shoulders, gazed in wonder at the world below. The land rushed by in a dizzying blur of green and grey, dotted here and there with the glimmer of lakes and the dark smudges of forests. He felt a thrill course through him, a mixture of fear and exhilaration. Quite a sight to behold, I assure you. A sight that would forever be etched in their memories, a testament to the bond between a boy and his dragon. As our heroes soared ever onward, the mists of distance began to part, revealing a sight most wondrous. Camelot, that shining beacon of hope and chivalry, emerged from the haze like a dream made manifest. Its towers stood tall and proud, their pennants fluttering in the breeze, a symbol of the kingdom's strength and resilience, unaware of the storm that approached. Oh, how the sunlight glinted off the castle's white stone walls. It was a vision of peace and prosperity, nestled snugly in the verdant valley below. The fields surrounding the castle were lush and green, dotted with grazing sheep and the occasional farmer tending to his crops. It was a scene of idyllic beauty, a testament to the prosperity of Camelot under the wise rule of King Arthur. Yet, as Frederick's keen eyes surveyed the scene, a shadow of foreboding passed across his noble visage. Something, dear listeners, was amiss in the kingdom of Camelot. A darkness was brewing, a threat that could shatter this peaceful facade and plunge the land into chaos. It was then, as our band of heroes drew ever nearer to their beloved home, that the skies began to darken once more. Not with the natural gloom of an approaching storm, mind you, but with something far more sinister, something that chilled the very soul. Smoke, thick and black as pitch, curled into the heavens from the western border villages, staining the once clear sky with its foul presence. It billowed and writhed like some monstrous serpent, a harbinger of destruction and despair. Frederick, his emerald eyes narrowing with concern, banked sharply towards the ominous plumes, his powerful wings beating against the wind. He could smell the acrid stench of burning wood and something else, something far more disturbing, carried on the breeze. The very air seemed to tremble with tension, as if the world itself held its breath in anticipation of what was to come. Arthur, gripping the edge of his makeshift saddle, his knuckles white with fear, called out to his draconic mount, his voice barely a whisper above the roar of the wind. "What do you see, Frederick? What's happening down there?" As Frederick descended towards the source of the smoke, a knot of dread tightened in his stomach. The air grew thick with the acrid smell of burning wood, and something else, something ancient and foul that spoke of dark magic and unspeakable horrors. The full horror of the situation became painfully clear as they approached the village. The village of Thornvale, once a picturesque hamlet nestled among rolling hills and known for its vibrant community, now lay in utter ruin. Houses crumbled like sand castles before the tide, their timbers smouldering and crackling in the eerie silence. The earth itself bore the scars of some terrible passage, scorched and torn as if by the claws of some monstrous beast. Deep gouges marred the landscape, and twisted trees stood as silent witnesses to the carnage. And indeed, my dear listeners, a beast there was. one unlike any Camelot had ever known, a creature of nightmare-given form. As our heroes touched down amidst the devastation, the heat radiating from the wreckage was intense, the silence broken only by the snapping of flames. They caught their first glimpse of the horror that had befallen this peaceful land, a sight that would forever be etched into their memories. There, lumbering through the remains of Thornvale with terrifying ease, was a creature that seemed born from the very depths of nightmare, a being of pure destruction and chaos. It was a hulking thing, far larger than any dragon or giant ever recorded in the annals of Camelot. Its body a grotesque fusion of molten stone and writhing shadows. Rivers of fire flowed through cracks in its rocky hide, illuminating the darkness with an unholy glow. Its eyes, oh how they glowed like dying stars, filled with a malevolence that chilled the soul and promised only pain and despair. With each ponderous step, the beast left destruction in its wake, crushing homes and lives without a second thought. Its massive claws swept aside the sturdiest of structures as if they were naught but children's toys, leaving behind only splinters and dust. The very ground trembled beneath its weight, and the air grew thick with the stench of brimstone and decay, a suffocating miasma that choked the lungs and burned the eyes. Truly, this was an abomination against nature itself, a perversion of all that was good and pure in the world. Yet even in the face of such overwhelming terror, the brave knights of Camelot stood firm, their resolve unwavering in the face of certain doom. Led by the valiant Sir Bedivere, whose courage was legendary throughout the kingdom, and the stalwart Sir Elric, a master strategist and tactician, they had formed a desperate line of defence, a bulwark against the encroaching darkness. Their lances were raised high, glinting in the firelight, their voices shouting commands that echoed across the ruined landscape, a defiant roar against the monstrous presence. But alas, their courage, admirable though it was, proved no match for the fell beast that assailed them. Arrows bounced harmlessly off its hide of stone and shadow, shattering upon impact without leaving a scratch, while the flames of their torches seemed to do naught but fuel its rage, causing the creature to roar in fury. The finest warriors of Camelot, heroes all, were being crushed like brittle twigs before the onslaught, their armour rent and torn, their spirits broken by the sheer power of the beast. As Frederick stepped forward, his emerald eyes locked onto the monstrous creature before him. The beast, sensing a worthy opponent at last, turned its grotesque head to face the dragon. Though they had never met before in this lifetime, there was a flicker of ancient recognition in both their gazes, a silent acknowledgement of the power they each possessed. You see, dear listeners, they were two forces of ancient power, one born to protect the delicate balance of the world, the other a harbinger of chaos and destruction. The very air crackled with palpable tension as these two titans faced each other, the ground trembling beneath their immense weight. It was as if the world itself held its breath, every living creature pausing in anticipation, waiting to see which of these primordial forces would emerge victorious from the coming clash. The fate of the kingdom, perhaps even the world, hung in the balance. Then, with a roar that split the very heavens, a sound that echoed through the valleys and shook the foundations of the mountains, Frederick launched himself forward, and the true battle began. The clash of these titans would be a tale sung for ages to come. Frederick's attack was swift, precise, and terrible to behold. From his mighty jaws erupted a torrent of flame unlike any seen in living memory, a searing inferno that promised only ash and ruin. It was not mere fire, oh no, but something far more potent, white-hot and shimmering with arcane energy, a manifestation of the dragon's ancient power. The very air seemed to ignite as the dragonfire surged towards its target, the heat intense enough to melt stone and vaporize steel. The beast, caught off guard by the ferocity and unexpected power of the assault, shrieked in pain and stumbled backward, its massive form momentarily faltering under the onslaught. Its hide, once impervious to mortal weapons and resistant to all but the most potent magic, now cracked and seared under the relentless assault of Frederick's breath. The stench of burning flesh filled the air, a testament to the dragon's devastating power. Yet even as it reeled, the creature did not retreat, did not yield. Its resilience was as terrifying as its grotesque appearance, for it withstood even the legendary power of dragonfire, a testament to the dark magic that fueled its existence. It was then, in the midst of this titanic struggle, as the very earth trembled and the sky rained fire, that Merlin's keen eyes, honed by years of studying ancient lore and arcane secrets, spotted something crucial, something that could turn the tide of battle. As the beast writhed and twisted, desperately trying to evade Frederick's relentless flames, a faint ethereal glow became visible beneath its chest, a pulsating light that seemed to emanate from within its very core. The wizard's face lit up with sudden understanding, a spark of hope igniting in his eyes as he recognized the creature's hidden vulnerability, its Achilles' heel. He called out to Arthur with urgent excitement, his voice laced with a desperate plea. "Arthur!" Merlin cried, his voice carrying over the din of battle, amplified by a touch of magic so it could be heard above the roaring flames and the creature's agonizing shrieks. "The core! Aim for its heart! That light beneath its chest, that's its weakness. Strike true, and we may yet prevail." The king nodded grimly, his mind already formulating a plan of attack, his gaze hardening with renewed determination. With this new knowledge, this crucial piece of information, the tide of battle might yet be turned in their favor, and the kingdom saved from utter destruction. Arthur, emboldened by Merlin's insight and Frederick's mighty presence, feeling a surge of hope amidst the despair, knew that the time for decisive action had come. He could not stand idly by while his kingdom burned and his people suffered. He turned to face his knights, his loyal companions who had stood by him through countless battles, his voice ringing out clear and strong over the chaos of the battlefield, a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. "On me!" he cried, his sword raised high, gleaming in the light of the fires that raged around them, a symbol of defiance against the monstrous foe. The effect was instantaneous, a visible shift in the morale of his troops. The knights of Camelot, battered but unbroken, weary but unbowed, rallied to their king's call, their spirits rekindled by his unwavering courage. Eyes that had been dulled by fear and exhaustion now shone with renewed determination, reflecting the burning fires and the unwavering resolve in their hearts. Arthur's courage was infectious, spreading through the ranks like wildfire, igniting a flame of hope in the hearts of his men. They would follow him into the very jaws of death itself, into the heart of the inferno, for such was their loyalty and love for their king, and for the kingdom they had sworn to protect. With a cry that echoed across the ruined village, a battle cry that spoke of defiance and unwavering resolve, Arthur led the charge. The knights of Camelot surged forward, a spear of shining armor and indomitable courage, a force of righteous fury against the encroaching darkness. They dodged flying debris, the remnants of shattered homes and broken lives, and leapt over smouldering ruins, their boots crunching on the ash-covered ground, their eyes fixed on the monstrous beast that had brought such devastation to their land. The embodiment of the chaos they sought to vanquish. Each step was a testament to their bravery, each breath a prayer for victory. As the knights advanced, a wave of steel and determination, Merlin unleashed the full extent of his arcane might, a dazzling display of magical prowess that illuminated the battlefield. The air crackled with raw energy as the wizard wove spell after spell, his hands moving with practiced grace, channeling the ancient forces of the earth. Binding magic sought to slow the creature's movements, ensnaring it in ethereal chains of pure energy, while illusions confused its senses, creating phantoms and mirages that danced around the beast, disorienting it and hindering its attacks. Bolts of pure magical force, crackling with lightning and imbued with ancient power, struck at the beast, each impact resonating with thunderous power, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. The air shimmered with the intensity of his magic, a testament to his mastery of the arcane arts. Frederick, ever the master tactician, his mind sharp despite the chaos of battle, saw his opportunity, a fleeting moment of vulnerability in the creature's defenses. With perfect timing, a display of aerial grace that belied his immense size, he swept low over the battlefield, his massive form casting a long, ominous shadow over friend and foe alike, momentarily plunging the battlefield into darkness. The beast, already distracted by Merlin's relentless magic and the charging knights, its senses overloaded by the chaos, was caught off guard by the dragon's sudden maneuver. Its attention momentarily diverted by the shifting shadows and the thunderous roar of the dragon's wings. As Frederick, with a mighty heave of his powerful wings, forced the creature to rear up, its massive form momentarily unbalanced, exposing its glowing chest. The source of its dark power, Arthur saw their chance, the culmination of their desperate struggle. "Now!" he shouted, his voice carrying across the chaos, amplified by adrenaline and desperation, a command that brooked no argument. Sir Elric, seizing the moment, his heart pounding in his chest, stepped forward, his face grim with determination. In his hands he held an enchanted lance, a weapon of immense power, blessed earlier by Merlin himself, imbued with ancient magic and the hopes of a kingdom. With a cry of valor that would be remembered in songs for generations to come, a testament to his courage and sacrifice, Sir Elric hurled the weapon with all his might, putting every ounce of his strength and skill into the throw, sending the lance hurtling towards its target like a bolt of lightning. The fate of Camelot rested on this single throw, on the accuracy of his aim and the power of the enchanted lance. The enchanted lance flew true, a streak of silver in the smoky air. It struck the beast's exposed chest with unerring accuracy, piercing the very heart of the abomination. There was a moment of utter stillness, a pregnant pause, as if the world itself held its breath. Then, with a thunderous explosion of light and shadow, the creature let out a final, ear-splitting roar. As the echoes of the beast's death cry faded, an eerie silence fell over Thornvale. The monster's form crumbled, collapsing in on itself until nothing remained but black ash and shards of obsidian that hissed as they struck the earth. The air was thick with the scent of smoke and magic, punctuated only by the distant cries of survivors and the crackling of dying fires. A grim testament to the battle that had just transpired. This was no lone creature. It was summoned, crafted. Something stirs in the west, a darkness not seen since the age of the old magic. And so, my dear listeners, we come to the end of this chapter in the Legend of Frederick. But fear not, for our tale is far from over. In the next installment, Frederick and his companions must uncover the force behind this growing darkness. Until then, may your dreams be filled with dragons and heroes, and may you return soon to hear the next Legend of Frederick.